All right, what's your name?
Sean Strickland.
All right, Sean. Do you follow any news or politics or any hot topics within the news?
No, sir.
No? Is there a reason why, or you just
Not really into it.
okay?
Not an interest of mine.
Have you followed anything related to, or have you heard about anything related to police brutality, the Black Lives Matter movement, and all
Quite a
that?
bit, yes, sir.
What's your opinion on all of that?
I believe that I believe the police get away with more than they should in this country. Especially in these videos you see surface a lot of the times, and people get the benefit of the doubt because of it, because they are, they put their police. I don't necessarily agree with all the stances that are taken on that aspect. I understand they have a job to do, but at the same time, we're still all humans. We should all be treated equally regardless.
So what's your stance on like Blue Lives Matter versus like the Black Lives Matter, all of that?
I mean, I'm all for people should all get treated equal regardless. But there's that line that gets crossed. Yes, I can understand where people come from in terms of like saying that Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, all this stuff. But then that line gets crossed where it's like, oh, well, so-and-so did this or so-and-so did that, so it kind of sways one way or another. Well, no, I think people are allowed to get away with too much in this country, and punishments and things are not equal across the board. As my previous statement goes, there have been instances where you see just blatant people getting shot and beaten for no reason, and they've already resisted. And then I can see where people's opinions come from in terms of why blue lives don't matter as much, because they get away with more than a lot of people in this country based on they do the same kind of acts as others, but they have more leniency than the rest of us because they are police. So
Do you believe that marches or movements such as like protesting and just like the whole Black Lives Matter movement on Twitter, on social media, and all that activism, do you believe that works in a sense to provide justice for victims of police brutality?
I mean, it's more so word of mouth than anything. I'm not on any social media, so I'm not in terms of like what the responses and how everything is viewed on social media. But I do believe that there is a time and place where all that is necessary, because people's voices need to be heard, and that's an avenue for that to become a reality, more so than just typing words on the computer. This is actual stuff people see in real life, and seeing how passionate people are on these topics, and it is a serious issue that needs to be addressed, that's getting overlooked in a lot of areas around this country.
Would you consider yourself an activist in any way?
Yes and no.
Can you elaborate or explain?
I mean, yes, I'm all for fighting for equality, and I'll always support those that are put below others. But I've never been one to be outspoken about the issue. I don't partake in any of these rallies or movements or anything like that. I don't voice opinions, but I do stand behind those that are treated with injustice. So,
And then finally, do you believe that post-civil rights sort of era and movements, do you believe that anything that's happened after that, any movement or marches that have happened after that, do you think they had the same effect as the civil rights movement or the march for women's rights to vote and such, like movements, like historical movements like this?
well,
Like that.
the past historical ones, that definitely, they were so different than anything this country's ever experienced before. So the message and what the impact was behind it was so great at that time period, because it was so different, unheard of, that this country's never seen before. It had definitely a more significant impact than anything now, because of the way that society and our world is today. So yeah, there's still an impact being made with those, but the significance is not as great as it once was due to the time period that we live in.
All right, thank you, Sean.
No problem at all.
Okay, so have you followed any of the like Black Lives Matter movement, anything related to police brutality, anything like that?
Yeah, I would say my journey with that started more so when I went to college. So about 2014 is when I really started getting more so knowledgeable and involved in the Black Lives Matter movement and more aware of police brutality and everything that goes along with that. Like I said, as I've gotten older, I have realized that I kind of had to stop watching those type of videos because it does give me anxiety. And when real life situations happen where I am pulled over, I don't want to react a certain type of way to have a bad end result. So I kind of have to delegate what exactly I'm watching and how exactly I'm interacting with those movements. But I definitely think I'm very involved within that movement.
So what's your, do you have a stance on the movement, or you just stay up to date as much as you can on that?
I definitely have a stance. I definitely am a part of the Black Lives Matters movement. I just want to preface and say that the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't mean that all lives don't matter. It doesn't mean that white lives don't matter. It doesn't mean that blue lives don't matter. It just simply means that Black lives matter. So when people do say that Black lives matter, we're simply just stating a fact, and it's not taking away from any other ethnicity or culture or race or anything of that nature.
So would you consider yourself an activist then?
Yes.
Yes. How long have you considered yourself an activist, or have been active in being an activist?
Yeah, since 2014, I would say.
Since
2014 to the present day, I've definitely have increasingly been more knowledgeable about what's going on with people of color across the board.
I'm gonna stop it. So, you of course believe that all lives matter, but you are part of the Black Lives Matter movement and all that. So you believe that blue lives do matter, and that police lives are put into some sort of danger in certain types of situations.
I don't like the phrases blue lives matter or all lives matter for the simple fact that those movements were created out of fear from the Black Lives Matter movement being created. It's one of those things where within the American United States society, whenever Black people or people of color at large say that like we matter, we should be equal, we have a voice, it's like this kind of fear-based thing. So then other movements have been created over the course of time. And so that's why I don't like those phrases, but obviously I do know that those lives do matter, and I know that police lives matter as well. However, I don't like that the attention is...
So, Black Lives Matter movement is much like the civil rights movement in a sense that it's fighting for some sort of justice. Do you believe that within like our justice system and society in general, there's some sort of systematic racism?
Of course. America was built on systematic racism, and for those who don't know what systematic racism is, it means that America was built on utilizing Black people and really Black people to build up the country and to always kind of be in this cycle of not being able to elevate as high as like the white man. And that stems back from slavery time. So if you're not educated on that, I would highly suggest educating yourself on systematic racism. But during slavery times, you know, we had the master, who was obviously the white man, the white family, they were in charge. And then we had the Black family who cooked, cleaned, like built everything for that family to be able to survive. And there was always this sense of this unequal power structure and system. So that's really where systematic racism came about. Even throughout the course of history, when Black people were abolished, slavery was abolished, and we were no longer allowed to be slaves, and that was no longer legal. There was still a systematic thing where we couldn't vote, we still weren't equal. So it's always been an uneven playing field. So that's where the systematic racism really comes from, and that mindset has been really embedded within our culture as to white is right, Black is wrong, white is powerful, Black is weak. and that's where really police brutality nowadays, when it comes to the black community, really comes into play. It's really based off of that systematic racist mentality from back in the day that has carried throughout the generations to come. So, unfortunately, our society has been built off of capitalism and the systematic racism. So, it really is something that is really embedded within our culture as a whole, and even within the black community. As a member of the black community, that mindset is very toxic for our community as well, when it comes to like colorism and thinking that the lighter you are, the better you are, the darker you are, the more worse off you are, or the more bad you might be. So it affects not only just like white culture and culture as a whole, but it affects different people of colors as well.
Mark, like you said, you stand with police in a sense. Do you believe that they're provoked in a way during incidents such as like unarmed shootings?
I think there's certain scenarios where cops, that they feel that's the best option for them when they feel like they're in danger, when they don't know what's going to happen to them. So, I mean, I guess.
Brad?
Yeah, cops can feel in danger, but there's different ways to go about a certain situation. Rather than arming yourself and pulling out your weapon, there's other things you can use to stop a suspect.
So, what are your opinions on like the whole Black Lives Matter hashtag on Twitter and that whole movement? Like, do you think it's effective in what it's trying to do in bringing justice to?
I think it's effective just because it's gone widespread now. So it's not just like known in one state; it's known throughout the country, and it's definitely had an impact on helping Black Lives Matter.
I think it was effective at a certain point, but it's kind of lost its meaning over time because they just say it now, and really it doesn't apply to all situations.
So do you believe, Mark? Do you believe that like all lives? Do you find a problem with this phrase that Black Lives Matter? Believing that like all lives matter and blue lives matter, like meaning police lives and stuff like that.
I think it should be all lives matter. It's not only like African Americans that are affected by police brutality. Yeah.
Right?
I agree on that, just because like all lives should matter. It's not like because Black lives matter, white lives matter, every race matters. Like there should just be equality widespread.
So, do you guys think that there's that historically speaking, we've had the civil rights movement, right, and then women's suffrage in the 1910s and 20s. Do you think that the Black Lives Matter movement has potential to be as effective as the civil rights movement and women's suffrage, or has the potential to bring about change like those two did?
I think if it's just if it continues to like keep being promoted and keep getting out and keep being active, then yeah, it definitely has a chance to be really effective in society today.
I think there is a chance that it could help change some of like the police force.
Definitely go about things in a different way.
So is there anything that you guys could think of that would like find common ground between the two opposing sides? Like, what could we do as a society and as a nation that benefits the police in a way where they don't feel unsafe in certain types of situations, but also benefits like the black community where they don't feel like just because police are pulling them over, that means that their death sentence right there? Do you think there's some sort of common ground that we can find where everyone feels safe and there are less killings and shootings and violence?
I think the common ground could just be respect for all parties included. Like there should be respect for the police officers. There should be respect for this certain interview, the Black Lives communities, and they should all there just has to be that respect there for both sides.
I think helping fix like the ghettos or like the low-income black communities, because that's where most of this is going on. So if they get like guns off the street there and make it like a better environment, I feel like it would be less problems.
I agree with that.